Hey, all the lions out there, I am taking up the challenge. I want to talk about the PMS, the premenstrual syndrome that affects so many relationships. It affects the woman, it affects the man, it affects myself. And yeah, we don't dare to talk about it too much. At least we're not so focused on solution, but rather on criticism and saying, "Oh, she had her days and she was so difficult. I couldn't stand her. She's so fucking crazy." And I just want to run away. So yeah, this is the challenge. It's a tough one. I have to say, it took me many years to try to understand it, to try to be supportive, to have this patience and empathy, and becoming this lion in this subject instead of being the jackal that doesn't know how to manage it and doesn't know how to behave and is, let's say, let's say it clearly, he's immature. He doesn't know. So I learned, and I think the first thing we should invite his understanding actually what is happening. And there's so much information about this, what is happening on a hormonal way, what is happening inside of their body, what are the changes that are happening, temperature change, temperament changes, her behavior, everything is changing. And as well, we know that there is a difference between one woman or the other one. And for some reason, it affects differently. Now, of course, I'm not the scientist here. I don't think I should be the one explaining what is happening in the body. I will just explain whatever I do and an invitation for you to do as well and see if that works for you. It worked for me, so why would it not work for you? Now, I do have to say that it's not all on our responsibility, it's a 50-50 thing, it's like it's sad to say this, but it's sad for the ladies to experience this every month. And I think there's where we guys we can already do some empathic approach, which is, yeah, it is sad. I mean, come on guys, just imagine that you every month during maybe 10 days, it can go up to 10 days, you feel like shit. You become super sensitive. You can't stand people. I mean, there's so many triggers that can happen just because there is something happening to your body. Guys, this is where we have to be a little bit of empathic and feel like, oh my god, I'm so happy to not have this experience, right? Which on the other hand, they can give birth, which is something that we cannot. So on that side, we could say they are blessed somehow, right? Now, the other side of the story is as well like you don't have to take the entire responsibility on this. If you have a girl that is suffering a lot of PMS, it's also on her to learn how to manage this because it's in her body. So if you're a woman and you're listening to this, there's also an invitation for you to take your own responsibility. And yeah, you were born as a woman and you have this PMS. At the same time, you also can give birth, which is something that no guy on this planet can experience, where you can have this beautiful connection with a baby. I mean, come on, you can give life. That's so insane. Sometimes when I think about it, I'm still thinking like, wow, there's something inside of your body that suddenly starts becoming alive every day, every hour. There is a change happening inside. And of course, you could see it as a burden, like, yeah, but we have to get pregnant, we get fat, and then we 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 change our body change, and then not a nice way. Yeah, but still, can you also see that you are wearing sort of the source of life? Without this, we could not exist as a species. We would be extinguished. So it's pretty insane, I would say. And I guess this is the reason. I'm not a woman, of course, but I guess this is the reason why you're having this struggle or this uncomfortable moment of PMS so that you can have this gift. and give this to the world. It's sort of, it's not like a mission, but it's like you made up for any purpose you want that is connected to the evolution of human beings somehow. And we as well as men. It's not that I'm not pushing man down. And what I'm doing right now, I'm saying like, yes, girls, you're having this PMS, which is a challenge, but at the same time you also have this experience that no man on earth, it doesn't matter how much money he pays, he will never be able to experience this. On the uncomfortable side and on the comfortable side, that connection that you feel with that baby inside of your body, there is no man on earth that can experience this. So this is the contrast, or this is the balance. This is what balances out. So I do feel that there is a responsibility on the woman's side because you know it's it's their body. The same way we guys, we have our own responsibility on our bodies when we suffer from too much pressure down there. So yeah, let's not talk about that. But whatever happens in our body is our own responsibility. So there is a part of responsibility. Now, of course, we are in a relationship, so things are different. Now we have support from someone. I'm this woman, I'm experiencing PMS, and I'm in a relationship with someone, which is really great. I don't have to only deal with myself, I'm also dealing with someone else, which in front of me can give me support, which makes my PMS days easier if it's, of course, done in the right way. So, guys, I just wanted to share this so that you make sure that you're not taking full responsibility over PMS. Don't go into this identification. No, oh, I have to do everything so that she feels better. No, you do your part, but you don't do everything. You do your part. You still stand in your integrity and dignity. You don't become suddenly a slave because there is someone experiencing PMS. You are the king, you support your queen. That's what you do. So the first thing is to understand, and if you can, of course, search on the scientific approach, which is something I did for a moment just to understand because it was for me a little bit crazy, like my mind couldn't conceive it. And I searched a little bit to understand what is happening in the female body. But then, I also understood something. I could not conceive it because it's not happening in my body. So it's difficult for me to generate empathy because I'm like, this is weird. So what I did and what I invite you to do, guys, just go and ask her. How does she feels? How does she experience it? Ask her, literally show interest. Show interest in what is the PMS and how is it experienced by them, by the girls. So it's really good to go on Google and search for it and do your search and finding out, and it's okay understanding. I think that's 50% of the understanding is that. The other 50 is going there and ask girls how do they experience it. And what I did, to be honest, I asked girls because back then I was single, and I started showing interest and asking them how do they feel, what is the struggle, what do you need. And I somehow, and now I'm not saying this is the case, okay? This is my own interpretation, girls. So please don't attack me just because I'm wrong in this. I don't know how you experience it, but I had one conclusion, and I asked several girls like, would this be a good definition just for me to understand it and to somehow being able to then generate empathy? And it was, I feel like PMS, PMS is a multiplier of all the emotions that are existing in your body. Sometimes when we go through life, we experience a certain amount of sadness and a certain amount of happiness, or a certain amount of feeling anger. And it's seen as a percentage thing, right? Oh, well, today I'm 5% sad because this happened, but then I'm 95% happy because I'm so grateful towards life. And of course, you have different emotions. It's not just sad and happy, just using them as an example. You have all different emotions and feelings, but they're all regulated somehow. And yeah, I think, unless I'm mistaken, but I think hormones are really important in that sense. So that's the science behind. It's a hormonal multiplier, I would say. I don't know, oh, multiplier or imbalance doesn't matter. But what I understood, it was like, okay, so they feel sadness, anger, happiness, joy, all the possible emotions at that PMS moment, and they're all multiplied by 100. So then it makes it very confusing. I mean, imagine, guys, if you're feeling 100% angry, 100% joy, 100% sad at the same time. How would you be? You would be lost. Let's be honest. We would lose our center, as I like to call it. We lose our center. We're getting dragged around by the emotion. We're completely done. We cannot stand ourselves. How often have I heard a girl say, I cannot even stand myself during my PMS. I like, ugh, I sort of, ugh, just go away. And that's where I understood this. I was like, go away. Yeah, it's sort of a rejection towards yourself, but actually, it's not towards yourself as a human being. It's towards what you're experiencing in your feelings, in your emotions, and they're just everywhere. It's just a bomb. And there's where I managed to finally tap into after so many years. I was like, okay, I experienced that just several times on a very small scale, where I experienced different emotions at the same time. And I was like, oh my god, this is really a challenge, like really. So, guys, if you have ever experienced this, well, go back into that moment and multiply that by 100 or even 1,000, and then you might get close to what a girl or a woman, lady can be experiencing during her PMS. This is a guess. It's it's a conclusion that I made up. There is no proof that this is the way, because we're guys. There's no way we will ever know what the experience. And yes, there are those guys. I think it was on YouTube. There was a guy putting on the pain intensity um, of menstruation, but this is just the physical pain. It's not the emotional aspect. So in order to tap into empathy, how can we get closer to them by any practice? It's fucking challenging. So that's the only thing I had is, yeah, I guess this is the thing, because I asked the girls and they told me and they replied, we are experiencing a lot of different emotions, a lot, and it can switch very quickly from 1 minute to the other one, and then it changes. And then suddenly we're angry at our guy, and then suddenly we want our guy to nourish us and to hug us, and then to say how beautiful we are. And then suddenly I want to push him away. And then suddenly I want to have sex. And then suddenly I say, no, I don't. And then I get angry again. So I experienced it once. I cannot even remember what it was exactly, but there was a moment in my life where I felt, well, I actually feel both emotions at the same time. It's so confusing. And I said, okay, just multiply that by 100 or by 1,000, and you got it. So once we understand this and we start generating empathy because we have experienced something very similar, even though still on a soft level, it becomes easier to become a support. And I think one of the main thing we should do as guys to behave as a real king is to not take things personally. And that was my first and main mistake. I was in my life, in my day, and then suddenly a girl comes towards me and ba 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 ba, and I'm, what's happening? I was not aware that something had happened. And what I did first is I took it personal. And that was my mistake. That was wrong. That's not helping. So I was like, yeah, just don't take it personal, because anything what is happening, even though in her beliefs, in her thoughts, in her feelings, are not real. They are all influenced by this PMS moment where her body's getting ready for actually giving life. So there is this cycle happening, and at some point, there are those days that nature has chosen. It was not chosen by them. That nature has chosen that they have to experience this for some reason. And I like to believe that there's a spiritual reason behind this. There is maybe a process where they can like purge and clean and I don't know, filter things and heal emotions so that they can get ready to give life to a beautiful baby, to the union of a mom and her kid, and thanks to the dad, I don't know. But I like to believe that there's a higher purpose behind the PMS than just making them suffer. So of course, if they feel they are suffering, it's because their way how they perceive it. They perceive it as a suffer, and it might be that your girl is perceiving it like that. I'm fucking suffering, and you have to support me. That's what she believes. That's what she wants. And if we guys are taking it personal, we're already in trouble. And I don't mean we're troubling with her, because this is not her on her side and you on your side. You're in a relationship. You're one team. You're one single identity. Well, entity, sorry. Even though you're two separate human beings, but you're working together. And that was the first and main mistake. Don't take things personal. You're working together to support each other. You're there for each other. Because if there is a baby coming, you would be one. You would be there to welcome it, and you will be there to support each other. If you're separate, it will not work. So when the PMS happens, when this cycle is reaching the end, right? It's not possible anymore because the ovulation passed by. She has to drain it. She has to clean it up. She has to, I don't know, all that energy that might be there. I have no idea. And there is no baby coming. Not at that moment. Maybe later on. I don't know. But why then suddenly taking things personal and separating ourselves there? Just because we feel attacked or we feel that it doesn't, like, why is it happening? And another feeling I experienced, and I'm wondering if you experience it as well, is I felt like this is not fair. I'm really calm here in my day, I'm doing my day, and then suddenly she's coming and she's distorting all my day and disrupting everything and putting everything upside down. And why this is not fair? I'm not the one having this PMS. Well, it's also on one side you could also feel that it might be not totally fair that she didn't choose to be a woman and being born in a woman's body, which doesn't mean it's bad, don't take me wrong, but she didn't choose it. Neither you choose to be a man. I was nature, selection, testosterone levels, whatever, but nobody chose. So having this thing, it's not fair that you have this, it's not my shit, it's your shit. Yeah, it's also not fair. That's where your empathy should be working as well. Like, hey, you didn't choose this, so I want to be a support for you because I can. Because when you look at the situation, you have one is suffering of a emotional roller coaster, and the other one is centered and landed. And what I mean with centered, guys, if you don't know yet, centered means that you're grounded. Grounded means that you're on the earth. You're standing, you're balanced somehow. You're not triggered and angry and emotional. You're centered. Yeah, I have my feet on the ground. I'm alive. I'm in reality. So you have one who has experienced a change in reality, is being overwhelmed through the emotions and is not so centered anymore because she has this natural process going on. And then the other one is centered. So where goes the responsibility to keep the center of the relationship? The one that is grounded and centered. That's where you're gonna go and give support because you are at the strongest position right now. which one day will be the other way around. Well, she will be more centered and grounded, and you will be less because you got triggered because you have this alpha male thing that whenever you go on the street and somebody is honking at you, you get angry. Well, you lost your center, so she will be there to calm you down. You see, it goes on both ways. So I think you could do something better there by saying, okay, this is not personal and it's fair that she is experiencing and that okay, she's projecting maybe on me, but I can be there for her because I'm the one at the center. I'm in an advantage position. So I can hold the center and the space for both of us, for the relationship. And if there is a kid there, well, also for the family. I am this man, this masculine that can hold that while being calm without losing myself so that she can feel supported and she doesn't have to think oh, if I'm going to be my PMS it's going to be a mess again because he cannot stand it, because he doesn't like it, and basically because he doesn't know how to hold his center. He's not a real lion, he's a jackal, he's immature. So I think this is a major major thing. Now whenever we are in the moment, right, and she's coming there, we tend to use the word "you're crazy" when we get triggered, so we're losing our center. Of course, this is the situation. The guy loses his center and he starts pushing it back. Whatever he's feeling attacked or the pressure that is coming towards him, what he's doing, he's pushing it back and he's calling her crazy. He's saying, "Oh, are you in your PMS?" and so on, so on, so on. So I would invite you guys through empathy. There can be another communication thing that you can be using, and I've used it, and it feels way better. And it's you're triggered or not, okay? So this is for everyone. If you lose your center, you should work on your support and your empathy, and you should work actually also on your grounding. So basically on your masculine traits. That's an invitation, but that's the work that you have to do on yourself. Now, if you're still able to hold and support and be lovely, there is another extra thing that I want to give to you and share with you, and hopefully women can fill into this as well. And instead of using the word PMS, which feels like, oh, are you in your PMS? It feels like you have a problematic. You have this problem. You have something wrong. PMS, and it sounds so scientific and so there is no emotions. There is no yeah. It sounds so cold, right? It feels so cold. It's like yeah, PMS, scientific science. You have this syndrome, and they call it actually premenstrual syndrome. Come on, syndrome really? I mean, this is really like the best way to label someone. So I found another way to call it, and we, my relationship, love to call it sensitive days, because what you need when someone is in her days, in her sensitive days, is sensitivity. It is making her feel that she is right now vulnerable and sensitive and acknowledging that she doesn't have a problem. She's just in her sensitive days. There is no problem, there is nothing wrong in having your sensitive days. And when you're in your sensitive days, it awakens inside of me more empathy and love towards you because I know you're sensitive, you're vulnerable. And vulnerability is beautiful. Vulnerability is something that you want to nourish and you want to take care, you want to protect. Even in the masculine trait, we want to protect that. Well, this is the invitation of today. See it and treat it as sensitive days. She is in her sensitive days, so treat her the same way. And because she in her sensitive days, she will also somehow connect to that word sensitive. And this might be help her landing into sensitivity and vulnerability instead of rejection and anger, because this is major. The major thing that usually happens is when we reject ourselves, like when some girls say I cannot stand myself. It's pure rejection. It's a rejection towards the state of what you're experiencing, and then there is anger coming up. But whenever you treat yourself, and this goes for the ladies, the girls, the women out there that are listening, If you're treating yourself as something sensitive and vulnerable, you're treating yourself from love. And if you cannot stand yourself, who will be able to do it? So allow yourself to be in those days for first. That's, I think, a very important one. Allow yourself. It's okay to be in your sensitive days. And I think it's beautiful to be in your sensitive days. For some reason, I think there has to be magic there. I'm not the one that can discover that because I'm a male. But I would love to hear the story of a woman explaining how beautiful it can be, what is actually happening. And I can actually recall one of them that shared with me a beautiful story. She experienced it as a healing process. Now, she was the only one, I think, that shared this, but maybe it is an invitation. Maybe it is sort of a healing process. It's a sensitive moment where we both, woman, man, girl, boy, has to see it as a sensitive moment and a vulnerable moment. For you, girl, woman, lady, and for the relationship, it's a sensitive moment. So, you guys, lions, kings, man, husband, whatever, it's the moment to support and to show how masculine you are. How can you stand and hold center for someone and hold space for that person? That's where your power and your strength is tested as a masculine. And as a man, guys, whenever we lose our center and we become angry and we get triggered, this is a first syndrome. It's not a syndrome, just joking. It's the first symptom that you're not in your true masculine power. I really hope this will help your relationship to thrive through those moments of sensitivity and PMS moments where we don't call it PMS anymore. We just let that go. PMS, just go away. Now I invite you, sensitivity and sensitive days, to come and join my relationship, which is a beautiful relationship, and we can drive very, 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 very far to a very beautiful moment if you show up with love.